Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a tutorial on my makeup look that I did for my birthday last month. So if you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you're not already. And let's go ahead and get into it. I'm starting off with concealer on my eyelids. I do this almost all the time as my eyeshadow primer. And I'm using the Beautycounter Skin Twin Creamy Concealer. And my shade is Fair 2. And I'm just kind of taking this all over the eyelid up to the brow bone to create that blank space. Then I'm going to start a little bit on my eyebrows. I'm using the Got To Be hair gel. This is literally the best gel for your eyebrows ever. If you want your brow hairs to stay in place, this is my absolute favorite product to do that. And it's really been my go-to lately. I love the look that it gives my eyebrows. And it holds. It's literally in that position all day long. So then I've been cleaning up the under part of my eyebrows, not like really carving them out, but kind of defining the bottom part of my eyebrow. I think it looks really clean, yet it still gives a natural fluff to the top part of my brow because I'm not carving that part out. So I just like to do the bottom, taking that same concealer and kind of defining the line a little bit more and blending it out. So I'm using the same concealer and I'm using an Anastasia Beverly Hills concealer brush to do that. And I think it just makes it look clean, and it also helps me fill in the areas that I know need to be filled. So like I have some space right up there that I know I'm gonna be going in with brow product. And I have some microblading scarring left over from that, so that kind of helps me map it out a little bit. And then I'm just going to set my eyelids. I like to put a powder over the top of concealer to help the eyeshadow blend on a little bit easier. I'm using my Natasha Denona eyeshadow palette, the Biba palette, to do today's look. And I'm starting with the lightest shade. Sorry, I can't remember the colors, but you'll see me pointing to which ones that I use. So I am just buffing that shade into my crease and a little bit above, kind of going up to the brow area with it just to make sure that everything is blended out. The brush I'm using is, honestly, it's one of my favorite blending brushes. I've been really obsessed with the Bdellium Tools Golden Triangle collection, and I will link the brushes down below. I'm not exactly sure which number this is, but it's so soft and so fluffy, and I'm just blowing that color out to the temples. Then I'm using a mid-toned brown shade. Again, I'll list the colors down below for you guys. But I'm just starting that at my lash line, and I'm slowly just like building it up and blending it out as I get higher onto my lid. But starting with that color at the base of the lashes, because I want most of that depth to be along the lash line, and then kind of, again, smoking it out towards my temples. Eventually that will all blend in with my bronzer. So again, another golden triangle brush. It's amazing. I actually know this is the 776 brush. It's one of my absolute favorites for packing on color. And then I'm just going blending. I absolutely love this brush for diffusing any harsh lines. It does an amazing job. It's literally so soft. So I'm just making sure that everything is blended really nicely. Not really going in with any color, but just going back and forth to blend everything out. And I know you're not supposed to pull your eyelids, but I have to when I do eyeliner. There's no other way that I can do it easily. So I'm using my Jones Road, the best pencil in the shade brown. You guys, this pencil is so good. It is creamy, so easily blendable. And then I'm going in with just a little bit of a darker brown shade, kind of in my outer V, starting at the lash line and packing and blending at the same time. When I use darker colors, I kind of like to pat as I place them on and then go in and blend them out when the color is placed down. So I'm just continuing to buff out the shade, not necessarily going back with any more color on this fluffy brush. And I'm just deepening up the lash line a little bit more because I still wanted that liner to show through, and also tight lining a little bit. Again, another golden triangle brush. This is the smudge brush. Then I'm gonna go into the Just a Sec cream eyeshadows from Jones Road. This is the shade Topaz. It's so pretty, and I'm just gonna pop this all over my lid. I think it looks so, so pretty. And softly buffing it out so there's no harsh lines. And then going in with that same darker shade I use on the outer V to kind of blend it together so there's no lines of glitter or anything, so everything meets seamlessly. And then kind of as my primer, not really primer, but a base, a glowy base, I'm gonna use the Vita Liberata. I'm not exactly sure what this is called, but it gives a beautiful, beautiful glow. So I've been loving using that lately underneath as a glowy primer. And then I'm going in with my NARS foundation. And the brush that I'm using here is the Artis brush. I went in with a lighter shade on the lower half of my face and then a darker shade on the top half of my face. And with this technique, it just kind of gives a bronzy look. You can't really tell too much of a difference here on camera, but I used a shade that matched me pretty well on the lower half of my face, and then just a darker shade on my forehead. And just blending everything. And I've been using a dry sponge lately to kind of go over my foundation. Do you guys do a wet sponge or a dry sponge? I've always done a wet sponge, but I've really been loving the way and the finish that a dry sponge has been giving me lately. Then I'm using the Skin Twin Creamy Concealer again. This is the shade Light 1, I believe. And this is kind of just my skin tone shade. I'm trying to just conceal any dark circles, and I'm also kind of cleaning up the eyeshadow a little bit. Just using any fluffy eyeshadow brush. You can use your finger, but I just had this brush in front of me. So I'm slightly blending it, and then again, like I said, using that brush to kind of define the shadow and blending. So again, I don't want any harsh lines, but I just like the definition that it gives, kind of that wing shape to the eyeshadow. Then going in with my favorite bronzer stick of the moment. This is the Milk Makeup bronzer in the shade Blaze. And I'm using my Marc Jacobs blush brush for this. I'm also bringing it a little bit on to my cheeks. And not a lot of nose contouring, just a little bit of bronzer along the sides of my nose, because I do like the way that looks when you've got a little bit of color on the sides with bronzer. Then I'm brightening up a little bit with the shade Fair 2 in the concealer, just to add some light back into that area to highlight it a little bit more using the same brush. Then my favorite blush, it's the Beautycounter Caramel Color Pinch Cream Blusher. It's such an amazing color. I absolutely love this. It's just very sun-kissed and summery, and that's why I love to use this, because I love makeup that just looks like something you would wear in the summer, and that's usually what I try to go for when I do my makeup, and I just love the tone of this blush. Then just kind of making sure everything flows with the bronzer down my neck, adding a little bit of a contour shadow, but just making sure everything's blended. Then just lightly setting my under eyes with the Beautycounter mattifying powder, patting and sweeping those areas, and then I'll kind of set my T-zone a little bit too. Just areas where I know I get super shiny and oily, but not oversetting my face. And I really work the powder into the brush when I'm applying this, so I'm not being too heavy-handed with the powder. It's just really, really worked into the brush, and then I press and pat over my face. Then to top off the bronzer a little bit more, I'm going in with my Hourglass. I think this is the Diffuse Bronze Light bronzer, just to add a little bit more glow, and I truly love the finish of this bronzer. back to the brows. I'm now going into my Glossier brow flick and just adding in those hair-like strokes. The brow gel really helped to hold that hair up into place, and now I'm just going into the areas that need to be filled in a little bit more. And you guys, this tool, this makeup product takes a lot of practice to get the technique down. Sometimes I go a little too heavy-handed, but if you work with it quickly, you can brush out anything that looks too heavy. But once you get the hang of it, honestly, it doesn't take as long. You do have to hold the pen kind of angled down or you won't get as much product in the tip of it. So you kind of have to adjust how you're holding it. But I just continue to kind of feather my brow into the shape that I want. So like I said, brushing your brow hairs up really helps to see how dense you want your brow to be and gives you the length of your brow hairs to follow a little bit better. Like my brows would never be this fluffy if I would have just let them be how they were or took the gel straight across. So that's why I like to brush them up. And I can literally spend hours on my brows. But lately I've been trying to leave them a little bit more fluffy, trying not to be as structured with them as I have been in the past. And I think that's where the brow flick or products like this have really helped to avoid that cut or carved out Instagram brow that you see. But I like to see the hair strokes. I'm just defining the bottom a little bit more where there may have been any sparse lines, and this is the Maybelline brow pencil. I'm not really exactly sure what it's called. I think it's like ultra slim or something like that. And I'm using the littlest bit of product. So I'm just kind of penciling in the bottom a little bit more. And then any part where it looks really gappy, I kind of went in with that as well. These lashes are House of Lashes that I picked up from Sephora. And this glue, you guys, is the best eyelash glue I have ever used. Oh my goodness. All of those people who say that the Duo lash adhesive is the best, you need to go buy this and try it. It literally dries so quickly, which is great, especially when you don't have a lot of time doing someone else's makeup, but it's fantastic. I think I'm gonna try the clear as well because I have the black one right now, and as you can see, I was just like so amazed by how quickly that set on there. But yes, I want to try the clear to see what that looks like and if it holds just as good as the black. Just going along my lower lash line next, basically with the same color story, starting with a lighter shade and then going into like the mid-tone brown, blending those out and blending the edges together. And then I'm using my favorite lip pencil. I love this one. It's the Charlotte Tilbury Iconic Nude Lip Cheat. This is probably the best shade for me to overline my lips. It's very natural. It doesn't look overly done. And whenever I overline my lips, I don't do it a lot. I don't want to make myself look funny or anything. So I tend to keep the overlining to the center of my lips. So I try not to overline in the corners. So I try to just do kind of like my Cupid's bow area and the bottom part of my lower lip. Then I'm using my KKW Nude 1 lipstick. I absolutely love this combo. I think it's so pretty, and I'm just blending with my finger and then adding a little bit more depth back in once it's blended out with my lip pencil again. I love a good nude lip, and I love this combo. Then I just kind of clean up a little bit with some foundation. Then I love topping it with a gloss, and I'm using the Beautycounter Jellies Shimmers. This is the shade Peppermint, I believe. I can't think of exactly which one it is, but I'll list it down below. And then I'm just kind of tight lining a little bit more with the black shadow from the eyeshadow palette. And this is the final look. I loved it so much. Normally I would have went with a matte eyeshadow look, but I'm really glad I did the glitter, and I absolutely love the lip. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.